Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon
and Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I am Mark Dolan, and it's time for Headliners, in which I will be joined by two top comedians reacting to tomorrow's papers. I've got them here, and oh boy, we've got plenty to talk about. First up, the headlines with Polly.
Good evening, I'm Polly Middlehurst in the GB Newsroom. Our top story tonight. Boris Johnson says the picture on Ukraine's border is increasingly concerning as he urges Russia to avoid a reckless and catastrophic invasion. The Prime Minister's considering doubling the number of troops deployed to strengthen Europe's borders. However, the Foreign Secretary, Liz Truss, says it's very unlikely that British soldiers will ever fight alongside Ukrainians. Well, here the Prime Minister and the Chancellor insist that a rise in national insurance set for April is the right thing to do. That's despite opposition parties and some Conservative MPs saying it should be halted due to the increase in the cost of living. Writing in the Sunday Times newspaper, Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak said the 1.25% national insurance rise will help clear the NHS backlog. A man in his 20s has been arrested on suspicion of rape and assault after Manchester United suspended the footballer Mason Greenwood following allegations on social media. Greater Manchester Police say they are aware of online social media images and videos posted by a woman reporting incidents of physical violence. Manchester United have announced that Greenwood will not train or play for the Premier League club until further notice. Mr. Greenwood has yet to respond to the allegations. Around 7,000 homes are still without power this evening due to Storm Malik impacting parts of the UK. High winds caused structural damage and ruptured power cables, with 2 people losing their lives yesterday because of falling trees. A new weather front now called Storm Corrie is affecting northern parts of the country. Amber weather warnings have been put in place and winds of up to 80 miles an hour are expected in Scotland. Relatives of the victims of Bloody Sunday have held a remembrance walk in Northern Ireland to mark its 50th anniversary. It's one of a number of events being held in the city of Londonderry. 13 people were killed when members of the British Army's Parachute Regiment opened fire on a civil rights march on the 30th of January 1972. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex say they'll continue to work with the music site Spotify despite the airing of vaccine sceptic views on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. Harry and Meghan have a content deal with the streaming platform estimated to be around worth £18 million. The couple's charity, Archerwell, says they've expressed concerns about misinformation in the past and in future will work with the platform to make sure changes are observed. Joni Mitchell and Neil Young have requested their music be removed because of misinformation. Spotify says the platform's now working to add a content advisory notice to any podcast episode that includes a discussion about COVID-19. On TV, online and on your radio via DAB+, you're with GB News. Now it's Headliners.
You are watching Headliners. I'm Mark Dolan, and tonight, as always, at 11, we will take a comedic romp through tomorrow's papers. on GB News, on TV and radio as well. And joining me for what will be a lively journalistic adventure is the all-American superstar Dave Fulton and a man that's very popular in Chiswick, Josh Howard.
Why Chiswick? I've never been to Chiswick.
Let me tell you, that's a very, very good little town to be popular in. Very classy, just like you. Now, gents, are we well? Lots to get through, big stories. And Dave, your first appearance on the show. Great to have you. We've been talking to your agent for months now.
I don't have an agent.
Oh, that's probably why.
So.
Probably why we didn't get a reply. Well, look, let's crack on. Here are Monday's front pages. And let's start with the Daily Mail. Boris, we will go faster on Brexit freedoms. In a bid to move on from Partygate, the Prime Minister pledges to slash red tape, boost trade, and says the EU can't hold us back. Well, in my view, that's hashtag too little, too late. How about the Telegraph? U-turn on mandatory jabs for NHS workers. Javid to scrap requirements after warnings it could lead to a shortage of 80,000 workers, something we've been saying for weeks now. But this U-turn, in my view, is welcome. Middle class is facing lifetime 1 million tax bill. The Independent, Nadal breaks a record with epic win. We'll be talking about that later in the show. And NHS struggles to identify unvaccinated workers. The Guardian, Johnson tries to take back control amid party outrage and catastrophe in cost of living to hit red wall. The Times, oligarchs linked to Kremlin face crackdown on British wealth. And burglars go unpunished as just 5% of cases are solved. The Financial Times, Nadal grabs tennis crown, and new sanctions rules will leave Kremlin oligarchs with nowhere to hide, according to Foreign Secretary Liz Truss. The Daily Express, Boris vows to unleash benefits of Brexit. Bonfire of Brussels red tape will save British companies £1 billion a year. The Metro, PM facing a tax mutiny. Tory MPs fury as Boris and Rishi stick to a rise in national insurance. And this, a very serious story in The Star. Cops search Star's house. Man U Mason in rape arrest. England and Manchester United striker Mason Greenwood has been arrested on suspicion of rape and assault. He is currently suspended by his club as the investigations continue. And those are your papers. And let's start with this story, and it is actually a fascinating one. I want to get reaction from you at home as well. Don't forget, our email address is still mark@gbnews.uk. Tomorrow's Telegraph is telling us about a possible vaccine U-turn. Dave, tell me more.
Well, as I can understand it, is they wanted everybody to get their vaccinations to work in the NHS and protect the people coming in and essential workers, and they've decided to scrap that. If you don't want it, you don't have to get it now. Yeah. So, and I'm for that. I'm for the personal choice of that. I think because we've kind of gone over the hump with the Omicron thing, and the Delta deal is, happened like a song from yesterday. And
yeah,
and what it comes down to is, I think we put too many roadblocks with the NHS, preventing people who need essential elective surgery now and, and treatment now, because they're like, well, we can't let you in because we got this, we got the COVID ward, or they're being treated this and that and the other. And we need more people working for the NHS. Well, I don't want to get the vaccine. Well, you can't come to work, but we got a backlog. It's like, you know what, just open the floodgates, just get it done and, and let it happen. I mean, if you're wearing the mask and you're doing this and you're double jab and you got the booster and you're doing this and that, just get you, I don't want to deny anybody the cancer surgery or any of that kind of stuff.
I mean, that's exactly right. If I or a member of my family needed emergency treatment, I would take my chances with a nurse or doctor that was unvaccinated, especially if they've worked in a hospital. They're bound to have come into contact with COVID.
Yeah, and they're all wearing masks anyway, and they're all washing their hands more than than some guy at a crime scene. So why not? Why not just let it go? Why is everybody like, oh, we can't do this? Oh, grandma got a sneeze, and now we have to lock down the country again. It's costing us millions, and this, that, and the other. I'm done with it.
And also, the thing is, the idea that you'll have trained for 6 or 7 years if you're a doctor, even longer if you're a consultant, and you've devoted decades of your life. I mean, you can't just give up that job and become a postman. This is like a proper vocation.
Oh yeah. You know, and people argue like, well, they should know the science. They should know that they have to have this, you know, the vaccine and what the other. And some people it hasn't been developed. I don't get in the middle of it at all. I mean, I'm vaxxed. I'm boosted because I want to travel. I'm going to America tomorrow. I want to do gigs. I want to do that, and I don't care. I mean, I've done stuff to my body that's way worse than any vaccine could ever have done. And so I'm not worried about it. They're like, oh, it's going to mess up your DNA. My DNA is already messed up because I came here to Britain.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. I mean, that's just the cuisine to start with, isn't it?
Yeah. And don't be bad-mouthing a full English. I'm a huge convert there, so yeah.
Glad to hear that. What do you think, Josh? I saw this U-turn coming, to be honest.
Oh, of course. That's it. First of all, I just want to say I think Dave's going to fit right in at GB.
I think so.
With those
it's a match made in heaven.
Yeah, this was always going to happen because there are 80,000 people who work for the NHS who haven't been vaccinated. They've already got staff shortages. But I read the statistic. In supposedly 12 trusts in England have 1 in 10 staff who don't yet have a first dose. So they were already going to have to do this because there are 2 laws here. You've got the law about people needing to be vaccinated, but the law that supersedes that for the NHS trust is to keep their patients alive and safe. So that law top trumps that law, basically. And so they had no choice.
And of course, a consultant anaesthetist at King's College London had an encounter with Sajid Javid, the health secretary. It went viral, didn't it? I don't know if you both saw it.
My favourite clip.
Yeah, and do you think that was a moment? Was that a tipping point in this debate?
Absolutely, because that person, that doctor, is an intelligent human being. They can't sort of go, oh, what's he doing? You know, he has put his life on the line for over the last 2 years. He is how many people this guy has saved, and he has a valid opinion. And people had to go, wait a minute, it's not all just cranks and crazy people. There are intelligent people who can make a different decision to what the mainstream media is pushing forward.
Yeah. Well, I think clearly this one will run and run. What about those in care homes who have already lost their jobs because they're not jabbed?
Supposedly the care homes have just been absolutely thrown in disarray over the last few months because this law came in earlier for them.
Yeah.
So 40,000 people lost their jobs. And now they're going to basically just have to hire everybody back.
Is the narrative changing? I mean, some on Twitter and elsewhere on social media are talking about how the COVID narrative is beginning to fall like a house of cards. I mean, you've got the truckers in Canada. You've got this U-turn from the government. You've got Freedom Day in England, which happened on Thursday. Many people are saying we must never lock down again. Do you think things are changing?
Look, I don't want to say never. If there's something worse comes along, but I think people now are much more aware of the dangers of lockdown that they might not have been before, and the price that had to be paid by different parts of our society, including, I'd say, our children.
Yeah, too right. Dave, what are your thoughts about what's happening in North America, particularly in Canada with the truckers?
Well, I like Canadians. They're cute people. They're just Mexicans with sweaters.
It's a perfect description.
Yeah, no, because I live within 100 miles of the Canadian border when I was growing up. They have their own agenda. They have their own narrative. If that's what they want to do, if that's what they want to bring down, that's fine. I don't care. I mean, the thing is with America right now is they're so divided with so many other things, and they seem to have the time to waste on trying to figure out if, because I'm from Idaho, which has the lowest education level and has the highest infection rate with COVID. Nobody's getting vaccinated. Nobody's wearing masks. The hospitals are full of people who are infected. I mean, they're still working on the Delta variant there. Omicron is in the queue to try to get into my state. And
they're still working on SARS. That's how behind they are.
Yeah, they still are. Yeah, they still are. Yeah, they're...
the Black Death has reared its ugly head.
Yeah. They all think it's Ebola, and which is fake news to them. So they just buy guns, which is actually what happened. When the COVID thing down, they locked down the state, people went out and bought a tremendous amount of firearms. And, which I don't really understand.
I bought a tremendous amount of chocolate. That's what I bought during lockdown.
You've got your priorities
actually,
right.
You know what?
What's worse for your health, chocolate or guns?
I'm worse than that.
Which one do you put in your mouth? So sorry. Am I going to get away with that?
No, I like that.
Maybe we take that back. Take it back.
Josh Howard, you get away with everything. This is Headliners, love.
I got addicted to Welsh tea cakes. You know the Welsh cakes things?
Yeah, they're delicious. These little scones.
I'm sorry, because the little ones. I mean, 1 with a cup of coffee is great. 2, why not? Hey, the package is open. We got to finish them. They're going to go bad. Yeah, so I put on a stone in January.
I mean, you talked about all the strange things you've done with your body over the years. I think you crossed the line with the Welsh tea cakes.
Hey, man, don't be bad-mouthing Welsh tea cakes. Everybody's watching. Please send me more. I'm a big fan of those.
A Kalashnikov is safer, let me tell you.
No, they're not. They pull too much to the left. It's really hard to aim.
These Americans.
He knows it. He knows it.
Don't get involved in gun banter with an American. They'll take you down.
So I've read. No, I know.
They'll take you down to Chinatown. Very briefly, though, do you not think that the Canadians and the truckers are striking out for freedom globally?
And it is good of you to come dressed as one.
Oh, yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah.
You've just come from the convoy.
I only buy my clothes in charity shops in America.
The problem when you're a trucker, you don't get to have a shower or brush your hair or anything. That's the issue.
Yeah, well, you guys wish you had truckers over here.
We do.
Yeah, come over here. You had a lorry driver shortage. Man, you wish you had that kind of
Too
that
right.
clout. Yeah.
Too right.
Yeah.
Well, look,
we would have more Welsh tea cakes right now.
But do you not think they're striking out for freedom on behalf of all of us? Because, I mean, Trudeau's gone into hiding, which I think is pathetic and cowardly.
Trudeau is he's kind of a caricature. I mean, he's kind of riding down on the back of, look, I'm a young guy and I'm hip, I can hang with the other people. But then you look and see how he's treated the natives in the northern part of the country, and he tries to belly up to them. Oh, and they're like, no, you have not done well by us. You have not. Sure, we can still speak our language, but we haven't gotten an apology for some of the other stuff. You're drilling in our lands without asking that. The North Slope, everything. So the fact that the truckers are kind of coming out and taking a stand, I mean, God bless them, because who knows how many of them even finished school. So but they're able to shift. They got 18 gears forward and 3 back. So
it's pretty simple.
Yeah, and obviously it's a big for them to lock down. It's a big crack in the into the prostitute rings and all the truck stops. So you got to address that.
Yeah, that's the economy that
That's why David
goes with the truckers
to North America to sort this out.
And trucker speed, to stay away for those long hauls. So, but Canada is huge. I mean, it's huge. It's bigger than our.
Suddenly, I realised the truckers don't just do it for the salary, do they? Who knew? Brilliant stuff. Well, let's have a look at this one. The front page of Monday's Independent is dominated by a photo of Rafa Nadal celebrating his historic win at the Australian Open. Josh, it's an empty victory, isn't it? Because a very certain Novak Djokovic is not there.
Absolutely. So this is it. It's the winner, historic 21st Grand Slam, the first person to do that, first man to do that, I believe, and
human.
Oh yeah, prostate haver.
Him.
Yeah. But of course, the main competitor wasn't there. The number 1 seed. How does that count? He should give it up.
That's like winning the British Comedy Award and Dave Fulton wasn't involved.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
What does this even mean?
That's like me getting on GB It's like
A lot of people have asked about that.
A lot of people turned out, then I got the slot.
Josh, we've got emails, I'll be honest.
Look at it this way. Look at it this way. All those years, Lance Armstrong had 7 wins of the Tour de France. Then they found out he was doping. Like, we have to take him away. No, everybody was doping. He was just the fastest guy that was doping. So I think, Rafael, don't take anything away from Rafael for winning this thing, but he's a loser. He's the number 1 guy who's been vaxxed.
Yeah, that's it.
Of all the tennis players who have the jabs and been vaxxed up, he's the one who was the best. Now do we have to open it up to anybody who's not vaxxed? Could we have a separate open for them?
Yeah.
And so they'd be out there like this serving and 3 love. I got it. Ooh, a little hot out here.
Yeah. Can I get a bit of oxygen, please?
Yeah, really. Those on ventilator. Who's the number 1 ventilator?
I like it how the Independent. I don't know if they're known for their sports reporting because they said it. He claims the historic 21st Grand Slam on the final day of the Australian Open. And I think they just wanted to let people know that that's when the final takes place.
Yeah,
is on the final day.
Helpful to have that. Maybe the trophy should be replaced with a massive golden syringe, just to really
or a big mask or something, because the mask would fit around.
It's actually quite nice.
You could cut it up. You could come in,
not a bad
get
shout.
a chainsaw, chop it in half.
Cut up a mask on telly. I'd never do that. Moving swiftly on. Harry and Meghan are back in the news, this time about their Spotify obligation. Spotify, of course, is a streaming service. It streams music and podcasts by the likes of Joe Rogan, who has indulged in many open-minded and lively conversations about vaccines and COVID measures. Josh, tell me more.
So what's funny about this is that they were actually in the news about a week ago or so because they signed this...
Which is unusual for them, isn't it?
Strange, yeah.
They hate publicity, don't they?
Yeah, they hate it. They shun it. They signed a contract about a year ago for $18 million, I think, and to do £18 million to do these podcasts. And all they've done in that year is a 37-minute podcast at the time, which just interviewed a few friends. So what Spotify's had to do is hire a bunch of producers just to try to get them to do their work, their contractual...
Sounds like this place.
Yeah, exactly. 18 million. Surely that's your contract. But now Meghan and Prince Harry have come out and said that they're sort of like, oh, now they've seen what Neil Young's done and
Joni Mitchell.
Now they're sort of going...
Dave Grohl apparently on his way as well.
Oh, really? They're sort of saying, oh, you know what? We're also against Joe Rogan. So what the quote is, we look to Spotify to meet this moment and are committed to continuing our work together as it does, i.e. a threat that if they don't sort out Joe Rogan, they're not going to do the podcast that they weren't doing anyway. For me, this is just like they've seen an opportunity to go, you know what, this is great. This is how we get out of doing our homework. Like, Joe Rogan ain't my homework, and now we don't have to do it.
And also, it's classic, isn't it, from this couple, which is we're going to speak out and virtue signal about something, but we'll still take the money.
Well, you know, the thing is they'll take the 18 million on the back of that, and they're kind of like, oh, we're kind of losing all these stars who are pulling all their contracts out of Spotify. We don't want to do this, we're going to do that, this and that. I can't help that Prince Andrew's going, yeah, I'll sign something, man. What do you want? I mean,
100%.
I'll read children's books. I don't
care. They're gonna run out of royals, and they'll be looking at Andrew, won't they?
Yeah, Andrew, you're a prince. Well, you used to be, you know.
Sort of.
Yeah, I'll sign up. Hey, you're gonna have the 18 million. Well, we're thinking maybe 18. Period. You know.
Yeah. By the way, I mean, you've been in the UK now for years, but what are your thoughts about Joe Rogan? Because he's a comedian who has become arguably the most influential broadcaster in the world.
He's influential.
Present company excluded.
Yeah, actually.
Correct.
He's influential
Well said.
if you believe it, if you listen to it. I mean, that's the thing is, you can say all you want. It's always that thing about, it's like if you buy stocks, right? And the stocks drop, they go, oh my God, you lost money. I only lost money if I sold it. So it's only influential if you listen to it and believe it and entertain it. And the thing is, all this done is line Joe Rogan's pockets with more money. More people will be, going in on this to hear what the controversy is.
But Dave, isn't it because we're all so hungry for an open debate around things like COVID measures and vaccines? Aren't people going to Joe Rogan because we won't get free speech anywhere else?
And GBNews.
Well, look, we do try.
They're coming in droves, I tell you.
We do try, but do you know what I mean? Because so much the media will shut down any discussion about the vaccines. Look, I think the vaccine is amazing for hospitalisations and death.
Science, yeah.
I'm triple jabbed, and it's great news. But there are side effects for a small number of people. We should talk about that, but you won't hear that anywhere else.
Well, I think it's fine for Joe to do that, and this whole thing about he's just exercising his freedom of speech, that's fine. If you want to listen to that and believe it and sign on to it and ignore some other things you may have read on the internet, because the internet will always support what you believe, no matter what it is. I believe
that's
cats
true.
are running the planet. Oh my God, here's the website devoted to that. So
catsrunningtheplanet.com. Let me tell you,
it's dogs.
It's all true.
5 dogs at a table playing poker. So, but and Joe, I don't know him personally, but I know a lot of people who do know him. He's a nice guy for the most part. He's into MMA big time. I wouldn't pick a fight with him. He used to treat hecklers like, well, I'll treat you outside. I've seen his comedy. I think it's funny.
Yeah.
And his podcast makes him millions and millions and millions. And this is the kind of stuff that puts him back out in the forefront again, that will make him more money, and it's kind of one of those things where like, well, I don't like you, this and that, Joe, and this and that. And Joe's like, well, shut up or I'm going to throw my wallet on you and crush you.
But
it's all about money. It is all about money.
But Spotify's shares have gone down. And that has to be a little bit scary for them, because how many more musical artists are going to start going, oh, wait a minute, is it going to, the cascade? It is a little bit, yes, of course, Joe, he's huge on Spotify.
But Spotify screwed over comedians before all this happened anyway.
So you think they deserve it?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Spotify was one of the things, I had friends of mine who put on their comedy albums, and they would put the stuff on Spotify, and the residuals would come in. They're like, well, wait a minute. I was on Sirius Radio, and I was on Bob and Tom, and I was getting
and YouTube, maybe
hundreds and thousands of dollars, and I get it on Spotify, and you're giving me pennies on the dollar. And Spotify's like, well, you signed the contract. That's what.
Sounds like my comedy special.
So the.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Well, listen.
The problem is, you read this fine print. It was Netflix, not Netflix.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
So.
And let me tell you, he's heard about that money. I'm not saying he's cynical, but the Josh Howie podcast starts on Monday.
What?
Yes, indeed. You heard it here first. Anything's up for grabs. Coming up, cystic fibrosis, conversion therapy, and calorie tracking for kids. But first, here's your weather.
Hello there, I'm Eamon.
And I'm Isabel.
And you're watching the GB News digital stream across the United Kingdom.
And around the world.
If you're here in the UK, you can also watch us on your TV screen. GB News is Freeview channel 236.
On Sky, we're channel 515.
626 on Virgin Media.
Just remember, you might need to retune your TV to watch the channel.
Yeah, and if you are doing that, find out more about retuning by going to gbnews.uk.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilized conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Mark Dolan. Welcome back to Headliners, in which we are taking a look at tomorrow's papers. Your first exclusive look tonight in the company of the fabulous comedians Dave Fulton and Josh Howie. And Dave, let's talk about Dominic Cummings. He, of course, is the Prime Minister's former Chief of Staff. But they've fallen out. It's like a Shakespeare play.
He is a full-on idiot savant when it comes down to setting all that stuff to going. I mean, I read this really great. Can I mention a book I've read?
Please do.
I know it'll surprise people. American read a book.
Yeah.
It's called How to Lose a Referendum, and it tracks the whole thing about your involvement in the EU, and it builds up to this, and it lays out and it introduces Dominic Cummings, and he was kind of like, no, we can't focus on the economics. We have to focus on immigration because that's going to get heartstrings going and this, that, and the other. So he really knows how to push it. I mean, he is the man who is to blame for Brexit, as far as I'm concerned. He really should. I mean, he should be
or to thank for it, of course.
He should be hung upside down in Marble Arch and have people just throw rotten vegetables at him as they're going by. And so sorry, that's it. But America, what do you know? But he, for him now, he's just sour grapes. He's coming back on Boris, going, oh, you got to go, this and that. It's not working out, And then the party comes up. And what really upsets me about that is they have this party, and there's wine and there's cheese, and we've seen the pictures and the videos and stuff like this. Yet somebody will be in the East End of London and throw a house party. Cops show up, go, 10 grand fine right here. And they're like, all right, yeah, I broke the law. Yeah. These guys, oh, we were reading it. No, hit every one of them for £10,000 for having an illegal get-together. Just do that, and the entire country will go, okay, and just move on. Yeah. As opposed to, no, you're a plebe, and I went to Eton, I went to this, and I have this. And no, you need 10 grand coming out of your bank account right now to put into this big mutual fund, for the homeless people, know.
That would be Tory donors would step in.
Yeah, that would really help.
Well, anyway, I need some more wallpaper.
Just 10 grand. Everyone gets, if it's Tory donors, I don't care who it is, just 10 grand per person. Like, yeah, fine. But at least so the nation will go, yeah, you can't get away with this, right?
There's not that much money.
Yeah.
We don't have enough money to pay that.
It's not a bad idea. I mean, it's probably a drop in the ocean in terms of how much has already been borrowed and spent.
10 grand would carry me through, because I know the only reason I'm doing this is so I don't gig in Preston.
Dave Fulton, I've known you for many years. 10 grand is just a long weekend for you.
Oh, stop.
Yeah. Spending.
It's a bank holiday weekend. What do you think? I mean, is Cummings the guy that has cried wolf too often?
No, I think he's totally spot on now. He's just telling the truth. But he said that it's unpleasant, getting rid of Boris Johnson is unpleasant but necessary, like fixing drains. And I thought, yeah, mate, look, I'm sure you know a lot about fixing drains. He's never fixed a drain.
I don't
in his
know. I
life.
think he dresses a bit like a plumber.
Wow, that's
you
a
think?
real insult to plumbers. I
Well,
think
you
plumbers
know,
are going to really you're going to lose a lot of the plumber fan trade.
He very much goes for the sort of slightly casual, dressed down look,
No,
though,
he
doesn't
dresses
he?
like that creepy teacher you don't want to go into, you know?
Oh, you think?
Yeah, he does.
The dodgy geography teacher.
No, you know, like the audio-visual guy that just pushes in the projector and they're like, oh, no, not this guy.
Yeah, geography teacher,
Yeah. You'd be wearing corduroy trousers and
But also, he said Mr. Johnson was critical in delivering Brexit and defeating Jeremy Corbyn at the 2019. Anybody would have defeated Jeremy Corbyn. His numbers were so low.
Jeremy Corbyn defeated Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah, absolutely, by opening his mouth and siding with Russia and whatever. So that's ridiculous.
Do you think that Boris is done for now? Because earlier in my show, I did a big opinion monologue about it, and I said, that's it, he's done.
And I love that monologue, and it was probably my favourite monologue, apart from Andrew Doyle's today.
I'm very honoured.
Yeah.
You're very on message tonight.
Thank you so much.
Have you been got at by the management?
Oh, they have got China gave me a call. I got a call from some China, wherever the money's coming from. We don't know yet, and they put the screws on, and so yeah.
But I mean, is he done, or is he? Because I mean, look, the Express are saying today that he's got it on a big fight back, and he's going to make sure that we cut Brexit red tape.
Look, you never count when Boris Johnson is involved. You can never say whether he has got out of every situation through his life.
Like a bad guy in a Bond film.
Absolutely. He just keeps on coming back for the sequel. I want him to go. Some people probably don't. I've said this point before, but I don't think Labour necessarily want him to go at the moment because he's toxic. He's taking them down. The longer he stays in, the more the Labour goes up in the polls.
Dave, get your crystal balls out. How long has Boris got?
I think Boris is going to run it to the very end. I don't think he's going to leave.
Run this country into the very end.
I mean, it's one of those things to where, you know, even if they vote him out, no confidence, and said, you got to get out, number 10, they'll be knocking on the door, and he's like, nobody's here. I mean, he won't go, you know. And I love it when people go, oh, Boris is like Trump. No, I would take 2 Borises over Trump. I mean, I really would. I mean, at least, you know, Trump was going on about, you know, I would date my daughter, and Boris hasn't said that about his daughter yet. Yeah. But I think, and I'm not a fan of Boris at all. I really wasn't. I wasn't a fan of him when he was mayor. Of course, I didn't really like Livingston much either. But I think if you do that, if you say, okay, Boris, you got to go, I would think, okay, who are you going to put in there to replace him? I mean, who on the Tory party, who in the Conservatives is going to replace, you know, Boris?
Well, I always think you replace a politician that's out of favour with someone that has a very different style, someone that's contrasting. And I would suggest Rishi Sunak, a teetotaler, a workaholic, and reassuringly boring.
And also got only a couple of kids, less than 10 children.
But
yeah, he actually knows how many kids he's got. What a selling point.
But now that Boris is done, where is Boris right now? Do you miss Theresa May? Do you wish
No,
you had
I wouldn't
her
go
back?
that far.
Okay.
I miss her dancing. She knows how to...
We missed the robot. We missed the robot. I just miss governance. Do you know what I mean? I just like the idea of number 10 being a sensible office of state.
There is an interesting thing going on where he's so desperate to stay that they just are announcing just like constant things, stuff that they should have been doing over the last 2 years.
Yeah, that's
They're
right.
finally getting around to go, oh, and we're going to do this, and please stay, and we're going to do this. And some of these things are not bad things to be doing, but they should have been doing them, I know.
Like a boyfriend that's been like rubbish to his girlfriend for years.
Yeah.
Suddenly turns up with flowers from a petrol station.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Box of milk tray.
Yeah. Ooh, bring it on, Boris. Give me that milk tray.
Got you with milk tray, didn't I? It's good to know that our good friend there, our lovely, fantastic Josh Howie, can be bought. Now, let's move on to The Guardian, who have a story about prescriptions, David.
Oh, sorry, I got me messed up. Oh, yeah, it was cystic fibrosis. That was...
Yeah.
I'm amazed. You know what? I'm a big fan of the NHS here, right? I'm a big fan of the prescriptions and the realistic prices they put out for that. And obviously, you know, pharmaceutical companies, they don't want cures, they want treatments.
Yes.
You know, and they want long-term treatments because that's where the money is. And when you look at, unfortunately, the life expectancy for some people with CF cystic fibrosis, you think, well, there's not a lot of money into it because they're going to die. You know, so you're like, whoa, you know, that kind of thing. So I think it's important that we keep that up. I mean, because what is it in the other? In Scotland and Wales, they're still up on that, but in England, they're kind of, you know, dragging their feet on it.
Yeah. It's like they call it a postcode lottery.
Prescription drugs. Yeah. Campaigners say it is now time for the government to stop penalizing people in England, especially those with cystic fibrosis and other long-term ailments that are not on an outdated exemption list. That's exactly right. You can't pick and choose. You have to go, look, you're sick, you have this disease, you get this. It's not like you're sick, that one will kind of, no, you can't do that.
Correct. That's what the NHS is there for.
We know people who have children who have CF, and you read this kind of stuff, and you think, well, what's the alternative? Well, what are you going to do? Are you going to go to the American thing, where you suddenly you have like, well, I need this prescription drug. I mean, I have a friend of mine right now, and his wife is going through chemo, and she has her injections. It's $18,000 a dose for her chemo. 18 grand, And then luckily they have insurance, which they pay out the nose for. But we can't go to that, and it's criminal. You can't pick and choose. You can't pick your favorite. It's not.
Well, I think Americans per capita pay double what we pay for healthcare.
More.
And well, there you go, more. And it's arguably worse.
No. Oddly enough, if you have cancer in America, they have the highest in the world survivability rate if you have cancer in America. Unfortunately, you'll rack up $500,000 to $1 million worth of, depending on what cancer you have. I had a friend of mine, he had throat cancer. He went through his stuff, and he racked up $850,000. And, he survived. It was horrible, but yeah. And you look at that, and luckily his wife and him had some decent insurance. But now he's high risk, and now the insurance he has, he's retired, and Medicare is like, well, we don't know if we want to cover you. You're 68 now. So.
Do they all speak like farmers from Ohio?
No, he lives in southern Idaho, and that's how they got there. Well, you get out my lane here, I'm going to get my gun. So,
opening your mouth fully isn't a big deal in those.
I mean, that's the two reasons why I'm one of the many reasons is, I'm a big fan of the NHS. I would do whatever I can to ensure that. And also, I don't want my son coming home from school and telling me about the latest shooter's drill. So I'm here, and I want to protect that as much as possible.
And the full English breakfast, of course.
Yeah, and the Welsh tea cakes.
There you go. I mean, look, Josh, briefly on this. I mean, my hobby horse about the NHS, I think it's a great business model, which is just to have one organisation which has amazing buying power and can negotiate great deals for medication and also fulfilling other contracts like cleaning and the rest of it, buying technology. However, so much of the budget goes towards treating preventable illnesses. So type 2 diabetes is predominantly a lifestyle-related condition. It takes up at least 10% of the budget of the NHS, and that's before you get to hip replacements for people aged 30 because of obesity. So potentially that figure is higher. So I say the NHS is there for things like cystic fibrosis because that is not a personal choice.
Absolutely. Yeah. Although what's happening in this particular situation is, I mean, personally, I think that there shouldn't be prescription charges at all. But what's happened here is that the list of exemptions has gone out of date because when cystic fibrosis, when this was made up in 1968 or whatever, it was a much shorter lifespan, so that people, when they had it as children, they weren't expected to survive. Fortunately, there are better treatments now, and people are living into their 40s, which is fantastic, but they just never updated the list. Why they have waited so long, that's what's ridiculous.
Yeah, well said. Well, let's move on to one more story before the break. We've got some amazing stories to get through after that before 11. But another Orwellian tale from the boys in blue in the Monday's Times, Josh.
Wow. So this has happened up in Scotland, and this comes into the trans debate somewhat. Someone was not arrested, but the police came into this person's home. Now, this person, she's called Nicola Murray. She works for Brodie's Trust. That is a domestic violence charity for women. And she said online, she said online that she was only going to report people to, not to the ERCC, which is the Edinburgh Rape Crisis Centre, because they have male-bodied counsellors and stuff. And that was seen or reported as a hate crime. So the police came around to her house and said, and she was like, well, what crime have I committed? She hadn't actually done a crime, but they said to her that they wanted to see like what her thoughts were behind, to ascertain what your thinking was behind making your statement. So this is thought crimes, basically. And it's scary that this has been kind of used to intimidate people. She says that she was like scared and shocked and panicky because of what happened. Absolutely, strangers coming into her home, and it's wrong. And they need to. I mean, this is very much happening in Scotland. Someone also got arrested, and this nearly went to like court because they had to put a photo up of ribbons, which were ribbons actually for women's rights from the 1920s, and they sort of took that to be a hate crime. So if you sort of say that sex is binary, is that what in Scotland that means you're going to get the police coming around and you have to argue?
Well, because in principle, that's a statement of biological fact.
Yeah.
I mean, Professor
principle,
Robert...
it is a...
yeah, Professor... I mean, that's right. So J.K. Rowling gets criticised for her so-called views on human biology.
Yeah.
It's not an opinion to say that there are two biological sexes. It might be controversial these days, but Professor Robert Winston, who is one of the most respected reproduction experts in the country, an expert on fertility, said on Question Time on the BBC that there can only be, you cannot change biological sex. Every cell in your body has a sexual identity.
You've got an X.
And he said, I know I'll get abuse for saying that. But that's where we are now. But you can say it in England, but not in Scotland.
Well, it's Nicola Sturgeon. The SNP is really pushing forward this stuff about self-IDing at the moment.
Yeah. Scotland are really drinking the trans Kool-Aid, aren't they?
That drives me crazy. I mean, look, if if you're born a man or a woman, and further down the line, you start identifying, as the other side, or none at all. Yeah, that's your choice. Of
course.
Good on you.
Congratulations. It's your journey, right?
You're braver than me because I can't change trousers.
Although they would argue it's not a choice.
But that's the thing. It's not my choice. Okay, you can go on and on about that, and you can get into the philosophical debate on that. But the deal is like if a woman decides becoming a man and identifies as a man and has all the operations and spend all that money and gets it done, and we don't call her, Lucy anymore, we call her, Larry, great, Larry, good luck to you.
Maybe Loretta?
Yeah, but if somebody follows Larry home, chops him up, murders him, buries him in the woods, and they find the remains, 3 months later, and they do the DNA test, they're going to go, this is Lucy. It'll be a woman's DNA. They can't go, the DNA that was formerly of this is that.
And yet we're getting to the point where that coroner could be considered transphobic for filling out that report.
And that's the problem. They'll go, well, what happened? Well, we don't know this, but we found the DNA of a woman who was murdered in the woods. And then they do further than they go.
By the way, did this need to get so dark, Dave?
It's like, where's this all coming from, mate? Jeez, I mean, this is a very precise sort of scenario.
Who is Lucy? Her family want to know where she is.
It's all coming
Where
out.
is this woods you speak of?
Dave, this could be awkward, but where were you that night?
Well, that's I mean.
But no, I hear what you're saying. It's a great example.
Yeah, and so now the medical examiner, they're like, well, that's Larry. How can you possibly say that? And he's like, I don't know. I had some decomposed meat. I'm trying to figure out who it is and trying to put a name to it.
It's turned into like a Tarantino movie.
Just going to move away a little bit this side of that.
Don't forget.
I'm optioning this idea that Jason Blum for Blumhouse Films.
You got to do it. You realise Dave's got guns, so we should we should watch our back.
They're not in this country. They're not. They're locked somewhere.
But I think that's a really, really vivid argument that you've put forward.
Very scarily vivid.
It's hard to disagree.
Very vivid.
Well, look,
but by the way, this thought thing though, because I was, Josh is with me on this, I'm sure, is you can be in your house in Scotland watching something and yelling out something that somebody could conceive as possible hate speech. They can make a phone call. Cops are not going to go, we heard you say this, this, and that. And you're like, no, I was singing along to a Tupac thing.
Yeah, or the Pogues.
Yeah, or whatever. You can't
Eminem.
say that. And they're like, well, I was just thinking, no, we took that as hate speech. So who makes that decision? And, where's the line? I mean, I don't want anybody to say this kind of stuff anyway, but still, I mean, who makes that? Who makes that call? The person on the phone? I heard such and such,
Yeah, we're in dark times, aren't we? Fascinating stuff. Well, we will continue the conversation after this. Fat kids, ancient superstitions, and questionable footwear. See you after the break.
Hello there, I'm Eamon.
And I'm Isabel.
And you're watching the GB News digital stream across the United Kingdom.
And around the world.
If you're here in the UK, you can also watch us on your TV screen. GB News is Freeview channel 236.
On Sky, we're channel 515.
626 on Virgin Media.
Just remember, you might need to retune your TV to watch the channel.
Yeah, and if you are doing that, find out more about retuning by going to gbnews.uk.
Join my show Farrar, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilized conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Mark Dolan. Welcome back to Headliners. Still with me are my brilliant guests, the top comedians Dave Fulton and Josh Howie. Monday's Daily Mail next. Wearable tech for overweight kids. Dave.
You know what? This is just lazy parenting. It is. You know, hey, look, there's a watch. You want to get the numbers up. So now we got Nintendo. You are Mario, right? You are the one that has to jump over the barrels and grab the gold coins. You're like, oh, I'm this and this and that. As opposed to, come on, let's go run. Stop eating that. Put that down. You know, we are going to go out and run some laps. But no, you know, mom and dad are doing this. They're on this. Or they're trying to, you know, get rid of their Spotify subscription. So yeah, I mean, if that's what you need to get the kid moving, you know,
and you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Well, what is it? How does this watch work? What's the story?
Well, essentially, what happens is Ivy Reading. It's a $19.99 activity watch, which sounds cheap.
Correct.
You know, as far as like getting an because you know the iWatch would do the same thing. And so what essentially does is you put it on there and it's available with straps decorated in pictures of butterflies, unicorns, and cupcakes.
Is that wise?
You're trying to lose cupcakes. So as a kid holding, I want one of these.
They should do Big Macs.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. So, and they're kind of saying, well, you know, my feeling is like, oh, I can have this, and it'll tell me what to do this. So I'll eat the cupcake, and I'll run it off, and go, okay, run it off. I can have another cupcake, you know.
Is it an activity monitor, or does it take note of the calories the child is eating?
Yes, well, no, it doesn't do it.
It doesn't do. It's not that.
So is it mainly? Is it about like if you've done your steps, basically? Is that what it is?
If you play computer games for like that long, then you could sort of be, oh, you've used up 10,000. Like, yeah,
All right.
pretty
You
good.
just got a goal past Harry Kane, like digitally.
But there is a serious side of this where some people think this actually could bring in eating conditions, because if you're making children insecure about their weight at that age by making them all about numbers and stuff like that, then it could sort of encourage that kind of behaviour. As Dave said, it's really down to the parents. Feed your children healthier, less fatty food. I know that's hard. I've got 5 kids. They all want sweets all the time. It's a pain, but you know, it comes down to the parents at the end of the day.
It's a crazy idea.
Well, what you do with yours, you just give one kid the sweets and then tell the other 4, he's got sweets. And then they chase him around.
He's my favourite.
And he chases them around, and that just burns off the
I'm going to try that when
it becomes like Lord of the Flies in your house.
Yeah.
There's a thought. From Monday's Daily Mail, OMG, YOLO, LOL. Josh.
So this is about online dating, which I know nothing about.
You protest too much.
Yeah, I mean, I've only tried it just for this story. But yeah, supposedly bad grammar and text speed are their turn-off for half of Britons who look for love online. And one of the big ones is writing your instead of your, like you are, like with apostrophe, like you're way fit. That would be one use of it, I believe. And the idea that bad spelling is basically turning people off. To be fair, my wife does give me a bit of a spelling test before. Josh spell onomatopoeia, and then the clothes will turn the lights off.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
before Congress, you've got to do a bit of a spelling bee.
Got to do a little spelling bee, and then we'll see how...
Dictionary corner.
Exactly, that's what we call it.
It would never work in my house. My wife is dyslexic, so we can't do any of that.
No chance.
Yeah, I love her to bits, and dyslexia is obviously, it's something that we have to look at on a regular basis. But I think this whole thing is like, I was turned off because they spelled this wrong and this and that. That's women talking. That's not men.
OMG.
No, that's women.
Someone's getting
if
some
a man
GBNews
got a text
followers.
from a woman, they would say, "Oh, I want to, blah 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 down my throat," because you spelled throat wrong. The guy would be like, "Oh, she's out of here."
You've revealed a lot with that example, by the way.
You would, I'm
Suddenly
I'm
become
still
very
with an omcon or whatever it is.
Sounds like you got a very lively marriage, very full marriage.
Georgiana Niven says she's been single for 3 years. And she won't. She says she won't go on dates, but if they spell her name wrong, she's called Georgiana. Like, that's not fair. Like, to not go for dates. And she's been single for 3 years. Surely you would just at that point just go, you know what? I'll take, even if you're illiterate.
There's
I'll
no
take
picture with this. That might have some clue.
What do you take? What's your view on etiquette when it comes to texting people, whether it's romantically or even friends or colleagues? Where do you stand, for example, on a little kiss at the end of a text message?
I always put one after him. Always, Josh. Miss you. Kiss.
Bit of a hug as well.
Yeah.
What's the hug?
Is that the zero?
Yeah, well, no, I think isn't there a sort of the yellow round face?
Well, it used to
Doesn't
be
have the arms are everywhere?
XOXO was hug, kiss, hug, kiss.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
What about I don't know, an aubergine or something? Would that be misconstrued?
I don't like using emoticons. I don't even know. Emojis.
Emojis.
I sort of wince when I see an emoji. My mum used an emoji recently. I won't say which one, but it was a little bit scary.
Was it racy?
It was
Was it like the kind of text message he gets from his missus, his dyslexic missus?
Yeah, well, you know what's funny?
Images.
My son will get my wife's phone and send me all these emojis, and it's like hieroglyphics. It's like 21st century hieroglyphics.
Yeah, it is,
I'm like,
isn't it?
you want food, love, cat, cake, running dog. Oh, okay, I'm making dinner.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
I think that's the message. Let's hope she wasn't leaving you. Now, in the Times, people are climbing mountains in high heels. Dave, tell me more.
You know what? They did the Three Peaks Challenge, which I've done. I've done the Three Peaks Challenge in 2007. I'm into that anyway. I'm into climbing. I climb frozen waterfalls. I'm leaving for America tomorrow to do that. and they're always looking for, well, we got to raise the ante. I'll do it in heels. Ooh, you're crazy.
So it's not because they want to look nice, it's just a jolly jape, is it?
Yeah. And it's a
stunt.
Because they forget we're in Britain. It's a cold, wet island in the North Atlantic. Yeah. But, it's still... You're in the elements, man, and you could run into some serious problems. And this is not an episode of Romancing the Stone where, Michael Douglas is going to cut the heels off your Italian, pump so you can get through the jungle of Colombia. You're going to be in real trouble. And these rescue guys are going to go out there and go, oh, we saved you. Are these your shoes? And they would just leave you there. I think they'd just leave you there if you're trying to get up there.
Are there too many of these vain people addicted to social media doing these adventures now?
Oh, yeah. And the great thing about it is they're not prepared for the worst case scenario, and they go out there and they get in trouble and they die. So Darwin kicks in, and we don't have to worry about them.
Well, it's scary to think about these new children's watches. How many of these people, these little kids, are going to be up there like, got to do my 10 million steps?
Yes, it's true.
In heels.
In heels because they're confused about their gender.
And by the way, if you're going uphill in heels, I can see that. But going down, that's an extra kind of...
Wouldn't that make it flat then? I'm trying to work out.
If you're going uphill, it'd be like flat. But if you're going downhill, you got that extra thing.
Little like hiking sort of.
Although Josh, you've got skin in this game because you wander around Crouch End in flip-flops, don't you? So
I have been seen for regular.
Do you think? By the way, I'm really strict about footwear. My mother taught me that you can really judge a person by their shoes.
Certainly with your feet.
Yeah, size 11.
If you've got.
You know what
like
they say,
mine,
Dave?
Right there, motorcycle boots.
Oh, let's have a look. Let's get a shot of that. Oh,
That's
is.
it. Yeah,
that's a proper.
Boots,
and also a little bit of Paddington dog poo at the bottom as well, by the way.
Of course there is.
Nice.
Of course there is.
Some of the very, very streetwise Labradors that you just encountered. But shoes, footwear. Yeah. Do you care?
Yeah, no, I care, but I care more. What I think is more interesting is how all these people are using Google to get around. So literally, there are people like walking and going like much harder routes because they're just following the Google thing. And it's like literally like 2 minutes, turn left, and there's a 300-foot cliff. And,
but you know why? They're looking for Costa. That's the thing. They're on their smartphone going, is there a TK Maxx near here?
But there's all these deaths from people doing selfies, like on the edge of a cliff. A little bit further. That's the selfie I want. Yeah. That's the one. That's the video I want. There are two YouTube channels I would subscribe to. The selfie YouTube channel where people die, and also the cameras that the cops put on the tasers.
Oh, yeah.
I want that one.
Also, you want the Woods death story?
Oh yeah,
that's right.
Well, no,
Poor old-
no evidence.
Poor old
DNA.
Larry and Lucy. Lucy's family will be doing a press conference after the show, by the way. Dave will be their lawyer.
No.
So, what about this in Monday's Guardian? Do-gooders have desecrated a sacred Scottish well. Josh.
Yeah, so this is slightly. I'd never heard about this. Have you ever heard about this? This
tradition.
Tradition or whatever?
No, I haven't. No. And there are lots of wonderfully spiritual traditions in Scotland.
Yes. Absolutely, like voting SNP, letting Nicola Sturgeon just talk for hours and hours about COVID
Going
every
to
day.
a Proclaimers concert.
Yeah. So, and basically, it turns out in this one there's like a well, and people leave like little bits of cloth. Like they touch the cloth and they walk 3 times around the well, and it's meant to like help with healing. Essentially, what's happened over the years, and with trees falling down and wind and storms coming through, is a lot of the stuff's fallen down. There was also like bras, people using bras.
Welcome to Scotland.
Yeah. And so someone has sort of just walked into this sort of special sacred area and just sort of like, oh yeah, it's a bit dirty, I'm going to clean it all up, which is something I do, not sacred special, but I do walk around with my little thing and put stuff in a bin near my house. And
is that right?
Yeah, it gives me great pleasure and anger as well.
Do you have a high visibility coat?
I don't have the high vis thing, but I do feel very self-righteous as I do it.
This is how they're going to find Lucy's remains.
I think so.
Around Ali
Josh will be out.
In my flip-flops.
Is that
This is, by the way, this cleanup thing, this is why Scottish people don't trust newcomers.
Yeah.
Because they don't observe their traditions and stuff. This is, I mean, you got to remember, this is Scotland. Up until, like 30 years ago, they're still throwing rocks at the sun. You know, and I really like Scottish people. I love Scotland. And I love the fact that a lot of Scotland still believes it's 1951. You know, I think it's fantastic.
Okay, well, look, I tell you something, we've got lots of viewers in Scotland, and that is a fascinating story, isn't it? Let's move on now to our final story.
Oh.
And the Daily Star. Should we finish on the Daily Star? Or should we go? Yeah, is that right? Brilliant. Let's go to the Daily Star. And
I always finish on the Daily Star.
That you might...
Is that a paper? Is that a real paper?
TMI. Of course it is. It's the light relief.
Yeah. I don't read, papers.
You can't read the Star. You sort of look at it and smile.
Yeah. It's sort of an emoji newspaper.
But we'd be lost without it.
Yeah.
It's got a great sense of humour, and it's a highlight of headliners, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So what have we got tonight?
Well, it turns out there's some fetishes, and I'm pretty boring myself, but used underwear industry is worth £7.3 million. And I had, this is amazing. So this is people buying, and it's not just what you would think, like bras and pants. That's including socks. Socks as well. People really want socks. Socks alone is worth £3.4 million. I mean, we are in the wrong job. Dave just got his boots out. Let's see what's underneath those boots.
I would sell that. I've heard about this. He's
heard about it.
There's so many comedians who need money right now. Would there be a market for comedians' underwear? I mean, because we sweat a lot on stage.
Yeah, and what you want, I would wonder whether new comedians' underwear would be more valuable because it would have more content, wouldn't it?
I don't know. I mean,
you remember those first gigs? You remember the visits to the toilet?
I don't know. It depends on who's busy with them. I can't imagine.
Have you ever been asked by a fan for a little bit of an item of your clothing? I bet you have. Come on, the groupies.
No. The 3 fans I have, they rarely ask me for anything. I have tea towels. I sell tea towels sometimes after my show that says, "To hell with housework, let's go see Dave Fulton." I mean,
is that right?
Yeah, I really do.
Lovely, nice little plug.
So, but I don't have any left.
Sold out.
Yeah, no, because I can't.
And were they soiled?
I'm gonna have to sell my underwear so I can buy more tea towels.
Were these tea towels soiled?
No, they were fresh and new. But I've signed them.
What about you, Mark? Have you?
All of it's for sale, including my hair. Just go to markdolan.com. Thanks for my amazing guests tonight. Headliners is back tomorrow, and I'll see you on Friday at 9.
Hello there, I'm Eamon.
And I'm Isabel.
And you're watching the GB News digital stream across the United Kingdom.
And around the world.
If you're here in the UK, you can also watch us on your TV screen. GB News is Freeview channel 236.
On Sky, we're channel 515.
626 on Virgin Media.
Just remember, you might need to retune your TV to watch the channel.
Yeah, and if you are doing that, find out more about retuning by going to gbnews.uk.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilized conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.